you believe that your government and health insurer have teamed up to rip you off? Well, that's the shocking truth. The health insurance company you have so much faith in and the doctors and hospitals you respect so much are doing nothing except filling their own pockets with money at your expense. Imagine this. You finally gave birth to a baby that you've been expecting and carrying with love inside you for 9 months. All you want to do is to hold them in your arms when your precious baby finally arrives in this world. You have waited for so long, and it's just natural that you want to hold them and lavish them with all the love and care you have, right? Sure, you can. For only $40 extra, the hospital will let you have a skin-to-skin contact. Wow, that's a bargain. Except it is not. It's the sad truth about how they are looking to squeeze every extra dollar out of you. And that's just one of the many examples of how the US healthcare system is in the profit business rather than actual healthcare business. Keep watching till the end, because in this video today, we'll discuss all these issues that make you weaker as your healthcare systems feed off you without you even acknowledging it. You may have a lot of faith in your healthcare providers because luckily you are insured. But do you know how your health insurance companies collude with large hospitals to actually con people? That's a bold claim, but the truth is often like a bitter pill. And this is the sad truth, that our healthcare systems are not as saintly as you think. In fact, they are nothing less than a mafia group trying to make profits in billions of dollars per year out of patients. In the US, the healthcare system is pretty messed up. There have been many reports on how large hospitals and insurance companies conspire and tweak the price lists of various services, treatment procedures, and even drugs. Let's assume if an insured patient goes through a procedure and a hospital stay, the total bill they receive upon discharge is $30,000. Now, because of the insurance, the patient will receive a huge benefit or discount, and they'll be super happy that they got to save so much money and pay almost a negligible amount in comparison to the original bill. However, what happens in the background is something that many people are unaware of. The rates that the patient saw in the bill were artificially generated. The actual bill could be far less, but the hospital showed a huge total sum, and the discount that the patient thought they got was actually the profit that these so-called healthcare mongers received. You may become the master of your own health if you're insured, but your wealth is certainly in jeopardy because of the so-called healthcare system policies. A book named The Price We Pay: What Broke American Healthcare and How to Fix It by Marty Makary, MD, analyzes this situation in great detail, and sadly most of these details are simply horrifying. The reason why we can trust this source? Well, Makary is a gastrointestinal surgeon himself, practicing at a renowned university hospital in the US. He has literally dissected this whole system in this book. He wrote that the American healthcare system does not focus on providing quality treatment to patients. Rather, the physicians and surgeons, even the regular staff, are more focused on extorting money from the patients by advising tests and medicines that they may not even require. This is all done under the pretext of the sweet term that insurance companies have coined, a customer-driven approach, as a way to justify the higher utilization of insurance products and services. According to Makary, a research team from the University of Iowa conducted a survey. They called around 101 hospitals in the US to inquire about the charges of a similar kind of heart bypass surgery. 53 hospitals responded, and the variation in the price range for the same operation was shocking. From $44,000 to $448,000. There just wasn't any sense. This was a very sad thing, especially from a patient's perspective, who would naturally expect that a hospital that charged the most would provide the best quality treatment too. Well, ironically, as per Makary, that's just not the case. The outcome of the surgery is not the concern of the doctors anymore, it seems. Their prime concern is money, and not the patient's care. Makary mentioned how he expressed his concerns in a meeting with all the major stakeholders in the healthcare system, the higher-ups of the hospital he worked at, and insurance providers, and he was dumbfounded when the hospitals admitted how they increase the charges of procedures and services every year. They justified their reasons by saying that they have to do it because that's how they generate all the revenue. They kind of laid all the blame on the insurers, that they are the ones who pay only parts of the sticker prices. On the other hand, the insurance companies admitted that they ask for more and more discounts when they are signing agreements with the hospitals. Now, the hospitals can only provide those huge discounts while contracting with the insurers if they hike up their prices towards the consumers, that is, the patients. And so it all trickles down to the unsuspecting public when both these party heads try to generate income in the form of high insurance premiums that the patients are required to pay at the end of the day. Now, if the patient has an insurance policy provided by the employer, then these premiums trickle down on the employer's head, and then they try to compensate for this amount in some way or the other from the employee. At the end of the day, the public is always on the losing side, while the pockets of these healthcare system oligarchs are always getting bigger and fuller. So it's a vicious circle. But you see, there is not one party to blame for this irony. There are companies like BlackRock and Vanguard behind this misfortune for the United States citizens. In case you're unaware, these are 2 out of the 3 biggest firms famous for passive asset management. Surprisingly, the third company is owned by BlackRock itself, while Vanguard is BlackRock's largest shareholder. So it's kind of like all roads lead to BlackRock itself. Now, why are they so important? Well, the US healthcare system and all insurance companies are connected with BlackRock, apparently. So it's like a huge mafia with BlackRock as the snake's head. When Macquarie confronted the hospital and inquired how this game was even being allowed to be played for so long, he was told that the law allows them to charge as much fee as they want. And even if they charge a patient $1 million for a procedure that would cost only $100, they can do so, and the patient is bound to pay. This is the state which the United States healthcare system is currently in. Hospitals and insurance companies are literally extorting money off their patients. And how do they do so? Well, as we know, in the end it's all about the profit. So, to make it all appear legal, these companies and hospitals pay billions each year in lobbying the government, so the lawmakers play on their side. Another irony is when people lose their jobs. Suddenly, they're not only jobless, but they also find out that they have lost their health insurance. So the harsh fact is that employer-based insurance is extremely insecure. It can go away as soon as one loses their job. Health insurance is so expensive that it's not possible for the majority of the people to obtain it privately, and therefore in most of the states, the hospitals and healthcare providers are so expensive that people are forced to ignore their health issues and avoid hospitals as much as possible. According to research, in the United States currently, almost 16% of the entire population does not have health insurance. And because of the same reason, the US is topping in ranks amongst those countries where people actually avoid seeking medical help. The private doctors face an even worse fate. The insurance companies do not partner with them and take them off of their lists of hospitals that provide coverage plans. Patients generally prefer to go to hospitals that their insurance providers cover, so these physicians do not get enough patients, and then they too are in a way forced to become a part of a hospital if they want to make a living. It literally resembles the game Mafia plays, where the insurance companies, big hospitals and BlackRock as the mob is telling you, this is our turf, and if you want to play, you got to play by our rules or you are out. Now, with such doctors who are forced to practice, do you think they will treat the patients with the wholehearted sincerity that the noble profession of medicine demands? Sadly, no. Most doctors in the US treat patients not because they care for them, but because they are afraid of losing their jobs and lawsuits that hospitals can subject them to. From spiking the treatment costs to forcing pregnant women to go through a more profitable C-section when a normal delivery is absolutely possible, these people do not care for anyone or anything. All they worry about is money. They don't even care how a C-section can negatively impact the woman's health, or even that of the newborn baby. It's just a sick game that unfortunately many people still don't understand. Now, this is a shameful situation for a world-leading country. This is a place that should be providing the best healthcare in the world, but unfortunately, because of the poor policies, severe lack of transparency, and healthcare criminals on the loose, this country has one of the worst healthcare systems in the world. Even countries like Iran, Pakistan, Botswana or Cuba have better healthcare systems than the US? Let us know in the comments about the healthcare system in your country. Do you also face difficulties that people in the US do?